This is the Perspective with Viv podcast. My name is Viv, and this is the show. The title of today's episode is Tap Here to Heal with Amy Vince. Amy Vince has been a dedicated professional in the health and wellness industry for over 20 years. As a certified massage therapist, nutritional therapist, colon hydrotherapist, Reiki master, and tapping coach, she brings a wealth of expertise to her work. Since earning her certification as a tapping coach 16 years ago, Amy has witnessed profound transformations both in her own life and in the lives of her clients. She has even used tapping to heal herself from painful chronic medical conditions. As the founder of the Soul with Tapping app, Amy is on a mission to make the life-changing benefits of tapping accessible to people everywhere. She firmly believes that tapping is one of the most powerful and transformative healing tools available today. Hi, Amy. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Viv. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Let's dive into the questions because I'm very excited to learn more about your app. So we'll come to that. Your journey into tapping began with a personal healing breakthrough. Can you share that first aha moment when you knew EFT was transformative?
Yes, absolutely. I've always kind of been a seeker, somebody that really wanted to understand both myself and the way that I do things and why I do things and why other people do things. It's always just been fascinating to me. So when I was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer at the age of 31, with nobody in my family having a history of breast cancer, it was really concerning to me because I I would always like compare myself to other people and say, okay, the majority of other 31-year-old people who don't have a history of breast cancer in their family will not get this. Like, so why me? What is it about me that really, whether it's my thought process or the fears that I have or my lack of spirituality at the time, I really wanted to understand what it was. So I started off that journey going to Tony Robbins, which I really love him. He's such a heart-centered person. Um, and I went through his whole program, but then one of the people I met there is Nick Ortner. And if you're familiar with Nick, he's like one of the um, really people in the forefront of bringing tapping to the world. And he called me, a month or two after crewing an event with him. And he's like, I found this amazing tool. I want to try it with you. And we had one session together, and it was clear to me, it was very obvious to me that this was a really powerful tool. But to be honest, I had kind of limited success with it over the years. Sometimes working with my own coach, I would have a really great session, and some other times it would kind of fall flat, and I didn't understand what the difference was. So the crisis that I had was about 7 years ago, when I'm sure you and your listeners might be able to identify with this, but just everything in my life was crumbling around me. My body was in pain. I was having panic attacks every day. I was about to get fired from my job. And I started using tapping in a different way. I I started using it not on the symptoms that I was experiencing, like procrastination or even just on the anxiety attacks themselves, but I started going a lot deeper and going and truly trying to understand what the fears were underneath the behavior. And I applied tapping to those things. And when I did that, Viv, I transformed my life in a matter of, like, I was probably tapping about a half an hour a day for maybe 2 weeks straight. And in that period of time, I really transformed the way I looked at the world. I had been looking through it through a lens of there's something wrong with me because of my personal trauma from when I was a kid. And when you suddenly get that lens lifted off of your eyes, it's like, oh my God, I didn't realize the sky was blue. So it really changed everything about how I operate in the world, how I walk through the space of my life. And all of a sudden, it just felt like, okay, I have to make this tool available to other people. They have to understand and know how to harness it to its full potential so that they can have this experience too. I want other people to have that experience. So yeah, that was my transformative time.
Oh, thank you so much for such a beautiful answer, so in depth, and so many things to take from it. For example, how things aligned for you to get to the point where you were exposed to such a transformative tool, and how that tool has enabled you to dive deep into yourself to uncover roots that sort of set mindsets that put you in a certain vibration, and it shifted
Hmm.
you out of it. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that, because wow, that was very heart opening and a beautiful way to start the episode.
Oh, thank you.
So, at what point did you decide that to turn your personal practice into the Soul with Tapping app and platform, and why?
I just wasn't reaching enough people. I
Mm.
I had started my own practice. I mean, I've been certified for 16 years. I've been doing it on and off with friends and with myself, friends and family since then. But when that happened 7 years ago, I immediately quit my job, which I was failing at anyway. But obviously it wasn't the right thing for me. You know, I
Mhm.
wasn't passionate about it. So I immediately quit my job and started working with individual clients right away, which is my absolute favorite thing to do. But then I just felt anxious, like I needed to bring this to the world and the masses if I could. And somebody suggested that I do an app. And at first I was like, no, I'm not, it's just me. How am I going to build an app? You know, I don't know anything about that. But then I couldn't let the idea go. You know, a seed was planted and it just started taking root. And I just started asking around, does anybody know any app developers? And then somebody finally said yes. And we had a meeting and, you know, things moved forward from there. Constantly um, educating myself about what it takes to do something like this. It's been a massive, massive undertaking. Um, yeah, but you know, if I can help people out there have access to something like this that they wouldn't know or understand how to do themselves otherwise, then I'm so happy to do it in this way.
Thank you for that. So, can you explain to the listeners and to anyone that is not so well versed on tapping what tapping is and how it applies to your app, how one can utilize it with your app?
Oh, I'd be happy to. So tapping is a great combination of real three different modalities, which I think is what makes it so powerful. First, it is an energetic therapy similar to acupuncture, but instead of using the needles on your acupressure points, you are using the percussion of tapping on them. And then there is the cognitive therapy aspect where you are actively talking about what it is you want to release while you are tapping through the points. And then the third thing is that it's a somatic therapy because you can't help but really get grounded in your body when you're doing the physical act of tapping on your acupressure points. You can't help but get grounded in your body and kind of gather your energy back from worrying about the past or gathering it back from worrying about the future. And you bring it into this present moment. And what's happening on a scientific level is most of the time when we feel stressed or an extreme emotion of some kind, our our amygdala, the stress center in our brain, gets activated into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode, and our body rushes with cortisol. And we can't, because signals are getting blocked by the amygdala, and we can't get to our prefrontal cortex where we're able to make like sound, logical decisions. We're just making decisions from that kind of monkey brain aspect of who we are. What the tapping does in those moments, it is telling that amygdala to de-escalate, de-escalate, de-escalate. It's saying it to it over and over again, and it starts um, taking, let's see, taking cortisol out of our system about 43% faster than if we had done nothing else. And it's going to lower heart rate, lower blood pressure. It'll increase our immune system response, and it increases happiness. So all of that is happening while we're talking about what it is we want to release and telling our body at the same time it's okay to feel peaceful and calm about whatever it is we're working on. So we're literally rewiring our brain to feel a sense of peace and calm about something that has typically brought up really intense emotions. So whether that's a trauma of some kind, or a fear, or a phobia, or even a limiting belief, those can all be neutralized over time with tapping. And it usually takes a lot less time than if you had just used acupuncture or just used cognitive therapy or somatic therapy on its own. So that's why it's so powerful, because it really combines those three different aspects. So the way that I like to use it in the app, I mean, there's over 160 different tapping scripts in the app in, I don't know, I think
Wow.
12 different categories. So it covers a lot of different things. But what I sought out to do with the app was to give people that same experience that I had 7 years ago, and really help them to get down to that core issue, that root issue that is at the source of all of their fears or their unwanted behavior. And so there's a lot of different videos that will tell you how to tackle something big like depression or anxiety or addiction, things of that nature that people really get stuck on, and um, get them down to, because all of that behavior can be siphoned down to what I call foundational fears. And so it's important to kind of start your work there, because it's going to make you be able to neutralize the behavior much faster if you focus on the source of it. So just focusing on the source, like if you're focusing on cravings or something like that, that's like it's putting a band-aid over it, and that's great because it'll help you in a moment when you don't have time to dedicate to getting to the root cause of something. But when you do have the time or the energy or the inclination, you have that opportunity to go really deep and get to that stuff that is causing all of that behavior from the start.
Thank you for that in-depth answer because I'm so interested and curious about your app. But what I'm most especially, or what stands out to me the most from what you said, is the fact that by using that app, you're able to go deep into the roots. The way you explained that tapping did for you in your own personal journey, I love that because you've made it accessible. And I like that when I asked you, oh, what made you start the app? You said you were not reaching enough people. I think that's a beautiful answer to start seeing something because you want to make a change, you want to make an impact. You want people to feel the relief that you felt. And
Yeah.
that's just a gift to share with people. Honestly, that's just a beautiful, selfless gift to share. Now,
Yeah.
more on the
Thank
app.
you. Okay.
What features are you most proud of?
I think it's those really deep foundational fears. I have experienced what other apps offer in that area, and to me, it just doesn't touch it in a way
Mm,
that's can be really meaningful for people. Um, so that's probably one of them. But I also have kind of a my journey section where people can journal about their tapping experience, because it'll
that is so
often
nice.
give you clarity and insights about your own life and your own behavior. So there's a place where you can journal about it. There's a place where you can kind of set goals. So if you have time set aside for tapping in the day and you get there and you're like, I don't know what to work on, you can go back to your goals and see where you left off. Like you can list certain tapping scripts that you want to work on, certain things that apply to your goal, and then check them off as you achieve them and write some notes about it if you want to do that.
That's so amazing.
Um, stuff like that. Something, because it's really hard to quantify the emotional journey, so it's helpful to be able to see your progress along the way.
Yes.
Because even now, I mean, it's not that after tapping for so long, you would think that I have a perfect life, and I don't have a
Mm,
perfect life. What I have is a lot less judgment about having and experiencing uncomfortable emotions or uncomfortable times. And I have a lot more willingness to move through them, um, rather than kind of shove them aside or deny them, or, something along those lines. So, yeah.
that's really, really inviting for people that are listening because it's very thorough. The app. the journaling, the goals, that's really deep, but that's also,
Mm.
it's so effective because, like you said, you're able to watch yourself through the journey. And you're saying to me, as I'm listening to you, you've been able to transform throughout this journey with tapping, and healing is cyclical. So it's not like, oh, you're going to be a completely healed person just because now you've been tapping for this long and you do
Never.
all these other modalities. That's what I love about the human experience anyway. But I
Right,
do know
right.
the importance of journaling and being able to chronicle one's journey through this modality. So
Yeah.
I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. It's important to know that we heal in layers like you're talking about. Like the way that it was explained to me, which I really love, is that when we do some healing work, say I worked on this fear that there's something wrong with me, and I clear it, I get it down to a zero, and all of a sudden my life expanded, right? I expanded in a way that I had never done before, and I figured, oh my God, I'm done. I don't have to do any more work. And the funny thing is, I kind of expanded into the space that neutralizing that fear provided. And then I started to want more. And I needed to level up even more, but I kept bumping up against that same fear. So it allowed me to expand to in a certain way. But then when I required more of my life and more of myself, then I had to do the work again. And at that time, the work was easier, and I got through it faster, but I still needed to continue to do the work. So it's really never done. I mean, that was kind of the lesson that I took away from this. It's really never done. And the more you expand and the more you kind of ask more from your life, the more you're going to need to continue to do that work. So I don't want to set up an unrealistic expectation for people, but what I do know is that I would never have been able to accomplish something like creating an app had I not had this tool with me to continue to clear my limiting beliefs about what I was capable of. So,
Thank you so much for sharing that. Honestly, very profound and just the right message for my listeners. So let's talk about foundational fears. What are the most common foundational fears that you've come in contact with or experienced when working with people?
um, yeah, I think there's seven. There's fear of rejection, fear of abandonment. Those are big ones because you know, we are innately people that want to have connection and be part of a tribe because there's safety in numbers. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's just kind of like an innate need that we have. There's also fear of not belonging, which kind of goes into the same category. There's also fear of not being worthy or deserving of love, fear of um, not feeling entitled to even be here, to even like take up space in the world. Um, then there is fear of financial insecurity because finances will have the ability to affect our ability, like having a roof over our head or even having food on the table. So if people have extreme scarcity in their life, that can be a real foundational fear. There's also fear of our physical body. Like if you have had some sort of a big disease or, something that has affected your physical health in some way, there can be a big fear of just living your life in this vessel. And when that's the case, you often want to your energy wants to get away from your body. So getting grounded and in the present moment can be really challenging. So you're constantly trying to like energetically run away and reject your body. Um, so that is another big foundational fear. I think I got all of them. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I definitely do find that in society, what is so prevalent, every one of them are very vital. But yes, what I see is rejection and abandonment being the fears that really lead people and drive people and are
Yeah.
as a result of people's low self-esteem and them acting
Yeah.
from those wounds. So, and most times it leads back to childhood. So I love that tapping as a modality just goes straight to that. When you do the work, you get to uncover those aspects of yourself and heal them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it requires a little bit of a detective work to see which foundational fear you're kind of dealing with. If
Hmm.
you're, um, say you're procrastinating, and you're not getting something done that everything about the situation says, why am I not doing this? It seems like every part of me would want to move forward on this in order to have what I say that I want. But then you kind of ask yourself, well, what would happen if I succeeded with this? And maybe somebody would get jealous. Maybe somebody would turn their back on you, and maybe that would cause them to leave or reject you in some way or be super judgmental or critical about you. And that in and of itself is enough to stop your progress on that. So when people aren't moving forward on something that you think should be completely easy to move forward on, you have to kind of ask yourself those deeper questions and be
Hmm.
curious and do a little detective work about what foundational fear it really is, because that's what's driving it in the first place.
Definitely, I definitely agree with that. Can you share a striking example of the physical shifts you've seen in a particular client just from them tapping?
Physically, yeah, that's a big one. Um, Myself, I had a couple of huge physical things, one of which being lower back pain. I had had lower back pain really intensely for 20 years. And, it would go out and I would be in so much pain that I wouldn't be like, I'd have to crawl on the floor to
Oh,
get to the bathroom kind of thing. It was horrible, horrible. I don't envy anybody back pain. Um, but once I figured out that the root cause of that was kind of my own fear of financial vulnerability, um, and I worked through that, it probably took me like an hour and a half to 2 hours tops of tapping on my fear of vulnerability in financial stuff, and it was gone. And I
wow.
haven't had, that was one of the things that was happening 7 years ago. And it was gone within a couple of hours, and I haven't had literally no back pain since then. It was rampant with me for 20 years. So it was really remarkable. Um, I've had other clients that came to me with really intense joint pain. Joint pain is a little bit more, um, it's not as easy to kind of find the root cause of that. But after working with this client for about 6 months, she was totally fine and before was able to, could hardly like be up and about for a couple of hours and would have to spend the rest of the day resting because it was too painful for her. And then she was going to like 2 and 3 day concerts and, music festivals type of situations and was totally fine. So it's a really remarkable because there's always that emotional element to physical issues, right? We
Hmm.
can't separate our emotions from our physical body. But we can do is clear them from our body with tapping, which allows our body to heal itself physically.
Beautiful. I do have a question. That's a personal question because I'm not sure whether or not you did mention your journey healing from cancer.
Mm. Well, at the time, I was not aware of tapping. And so I kind of chose the traditional route more out of a lack of understanding that I had a choice. My doctors just told me this is what you have to do. You have to go get a mastectomy and you have to go through chemo and radiation. And so I started down that road and I've had a million surgeries on my boobs at this point and just reconstructions and, all kinds of things. And then I chose a type of chemotherapy so that I wouldn't have to do radiation because I really just wanted my recovery to be as short as possible. So I chose like the strongest chemotherapy that I could. I was only supposed to do like 4 chemotherapy treatments, and I did 2, and I quit because I started going through Tony Robbins at that point, and there was part of me that just didn't understand that I was putting poison in my body in order to
Mm.
cure something. So that's when I also started down the road with nutritional therapy and colon hydrotherapy, and really kind of leading more of a clean lifestyle that way. And then I also hit all of the reasons that could have been one of the contributors emotionally. I hit that hard with tapping. I had to work really hard on all of the emotional aspects of the treatment, kind of losing my breasts and losing my hair, and all of the doctors that I dealt with that had a horrible bedside manner and didn't give a shit about me as a patient or a person. There was a lot of emotional baggage that came along with that experience. And so I tapped through a lot with that. It was a lot. It was hard to clear.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm so happy to just have you here to share your story, to be on the other side of it, to be healed, to be living a different life, to be more
Yeah, me too.
centered and just outside of all of that. And I think sometimes we have unexpected experiences that sort of push us onto the path that we're meant to follow,
Yeah.
because there have been a number of people that have come on my podcast and spoken about their health. They've had a health scare, a big one, and they've done alternative therapies and that's healed them, and I just find
Uh-huh.
it remarkable that, you know, these stories are being shared, and it's sort of like cementing that alternative therapies are really where to go, at least in
Hmm.
most cases. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing your story with me.
Yeah, yeah, I'm happy to. I really feel like I I took an approach to healing that really helped me. But I also think that if somebody believes in the Western medicine approach of chemotherapy, then they can have just as much
Definitely.
success. I didn't, it didn't resonate with me.
Hmm.
And I went down that road, and then I made a different choice. But I think for people that it does resonate with, even if it's not a comfortable experience, they can still have great success with it.
Yes.
Um, and I do think that Western medicine has its place in our society, especially with emergency situations. But I
Mm-hmm.
also think we should always, always take a comprehensive approach to our healing. That
Yes.
means look at every single aspect of our lives. We are spiritual and intellectual and physical and emotional beings. And all four of those categories need to be addressed in order to really achieve kind of balance and health in a different way, so that we don't experience big physical issues like that again. At
Definitely.
least not at such a young age. We're not meant to live forever, but you know.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So you've
Mhm.
spoken about the power of rage tapping. How does harnessing anger contribute to healing?
I love rage tapping, especially for women, because it's not often an emotion that we allow ourselves to have or to do. It's not something that's typically accepted out there. We get accused of being hysterical or something along those lines when
So
we do
true.
engage with such a strong, powerful emotion. So I really love kind of facilitating a session with somebody that might might not have allowed themselves to really feel angry about a situation, and to just tap through all the points and really kind of give all of those emotions, honor them and acknowledge them as being valid. And of like, of course I feel super angry about this. I have suffered because somebody else didn't do their work, or somebody else did this to me. It's not fair. And to just be able to go over and over in that again and again, because it's not going to hurt anybody. You're just saying the words, you're getting them out of your system, and that is only going to help you. It doesn't have to hurt anybody else. Nobody else gets damaged in the process, and you can still express the emotions in a really healing way.
Thank you for that, because I definitely think I need to engage in rage tapping. So I was wondering if you could share with us a brief exercise on rage tapping.
Oh, I would love to. I
Yes,
would love to.
please.
Do you want to like do one yourself?
Sure, I'll do it with you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go through the tapping points with you really quick, just so because all tapping practitioners will use different points. It just depends on who they learned from. None of them are wrong. It's just different. That's all. So we're going to start. We usually will start tapping on the karate chop point right here and tap those points together and say something like, even though I am so angry about this, I still love and honor all my thoughts and feelings. Even though I have such rage about this event in particular, I am justified in my feelings and I deeply honor all parts of who I am. Even though I have so much rage about this, I love myself anyway, and I honor my courage in tackling this issue. So we'd say those things, and then we move to what's called repeater phrases. And the first point is right at the beginning of your eyebrows. And let me go through the points really quick, and then we'll do the rage tapping. So the next one is right at your temple, and then under your eye, right on top of your cheekbones, and then under your nose, under your mouth, and then your collarbone point. It's find the beginning of your collarbones, and you're going to go down about an inch on either side of your sternum, right there. And then under your arms, like right where for women is right where your bra strap would be. And then on your ribs, just below like the underwire of your bra. And then wrists, there's 3 different spots on your wrists. So I like to tap and turn my wrists together. And then the last one is up on top of your head. So we're going to go through some repeater phrases and I'll say it. And then Viv, why don't you repeat after me? Because that'll give
Okay.
your listeners the chance to repeat the tapping also.
Okay.
Um, do you have a sense, 0 to 10, about an event or something somebody did to you? How intense the rage is?
Yes, I do actually.
Okay. Can you tell me
So,
0 to 10? Where are you at?
8.
An 8.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it an event that some person kind of did?
Yeah.
Was it a betrayal?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's all I need to know. And then we'll just go through a real quick tapping and see if we can't get your number a little lower. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Let's start on your eyebrow point. I am so mad at that person.
I am so mad at that person,
And they absolutely deserve my anger.
and they absolutely deserve my anger.
I am right about this.
I am right about this.
They betrayed me
They betrayed me,
and they hurt me so bad.
and they hurt me so bad.
It's so unfair what they did to me.
It's so unfair what they did to me.
I can't believe I trusted them.
I can't believe I trusted them.
They absolutely deserve the wrath of my anger,
They absolutely deserve the wrath of my anger,
especially after what they did.
especially after what they did.
Anybody that hears about this situation would agree with me.
Anybody that hears about this situation would agree with me.
What they did was so unfair,
What they did was so unfair,
and they deserve to hurt as much as I do.
and they deserve to hurt as much as I do.
I'm so angry about this.
I'm so angry about this.
I am so angry about this.
I am so angry about this.
And my anger is completely justified.
And my anger is completely justified.
They betrayed me at the deepest level
They betrayed me at the deepest level
and broke my heart.
and broke my heart.
They broke my heart in the process
They broke my heart in the process
because they didn't do their work.
because they didn't do their work.
I'm suffering because they didn't do their work.
I'm suffering because they didn't do their work.
It's so unfair.
It's so unfair.
It is so unfair.
It is so unfair.
And I am completely entitled to all of these feelings.
And I am completely entitled to all of these feelings.
And I deeply honor all my thoughts about this.
And I deeply honor all my thoughts about this.
Unfortunately, this anger only hurts me.
Unfortunately, this anger only hurts me.
I'm the one that continues to hurt with this.
I'm the one that continues to hurt with this.
It continues to trigger me.
It continues to trigger me.
And I hate that it still affects me so deeply.
And I hate that it still affects me so deeply.
But it's no wonder.
But it's no wonder.
They truly betrayed my trust.
They truly betrayed my trust.
And I deeply honor all my thoughts and feelings about this.
And I deeply honor all my thoughts and feelings about this.
And I want to start the process of letting it go.
And I want to start the process of letting it go.
Honoring it and acknowledging it enough.
Honoring it and acknowledging it enough.
So that I can finally let go.
So that I can finally let go.
And cut the cord with this person.
And cut the cord with this person.
They're bringing me down.
They're bringing me down.
And I want to let it go.
And I want to let it go.
And I want to be open to doing that.
And I want to be open to doing that.
Maybe I need to rage a little bit more about it.
Maybe I need to read a little more about it.
But I do want to let go of it eventually.
But I do want to let go of it eventually.
Okay. Take a nice deep breath.
Wow, that was so good.
Did you like that?
Yes.
You were smiling the whole time. I'm like, I was thinking, Viv, you got to get into it. You actually have to get mad.
So good. Wow. Wow. Okay, so my rating, right?
Yeah.
I was an 8 before. I'm a 3 now.
Are you really?
I
Oh,
am a
wow.
3
That's a big
now.
jump.
I am a 3 now. I don't know. I didn't even know I was smiling through it, but I just felt myself acknowledging my feelings. And then when we started to speak about letting it go, I was like, yeah, okay, we're not staying in the rage. We're transmuting it. And that made me feel good. All the words were affirming. And I wanted to be sure. So I really sat in my body. I was like, how do you really feel? What's your rating? And at first it was 4. Then at the end it was a 3. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm at. So yes, thank
that's
you.
great. That's really great. I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
That was really good.
That's nice. Good job letting it go.
Thank you.
I hold on to my anger quite a bit, so I have to tap a little bit more than that.
I hold on to anger as well. And I'm not going to lie to you. I've been angry about this, but it's just been at the back of my mind. It's not been like at the forefront. So it was nice to call it out so that I could like acknowledge it. But I'm surprised that I actually went that low. I'm not that kind of person that would just usually maybe be a 5 or a 6. But the fact that I went to a 3, I was like, maybe you are in that space of releasing and you didn't know. So thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I'm really glad you asked. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. That really, really is fun. Okay, because
It's
that's
so
something that I'll be
freeing.
using. Yeah, that's a tool now in my toolbox for sure. For sure.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Whew. All right, my final question.
Okay.
Looking ahead, how do you envision Soul with tapping growing in the next year, or what new frontiers are you exploring?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked. There are really big plans, and there are incremental plans along the way for the Soar with Tapping app. So right now, a friend and I, she's also a tapping coach, are reaching out to the NAACP and trying to form a panel so that we can create a whole new category on racism. We are also working on a whole new category for women's health and fertility. But in the much bigger picture, in the like maybe 5-year plan from now, it won't be called Soar with Tapping. It'll just be called Soar. And there will be a lot of different modalities, things that I have come across in my own experience that have been really powerful, like breath work and more meditation. What are some of the, maybe hypnotherapy? Just I just want to keep expanding. I want to keep giving people more tools. Some tapping will resonate with some people. It won't resonate with all people, but there are so many tools available that are really helpful out there. And I want people to have access to them. I want it to be as easy as possible to heal. People shouldn't have to struggle in pain or anxiety because they can't afford to get some significant help with it. So just providing resources for people so that they have access to it, it is really kind of the key.
Thank you so much for that answer. Honestly, it's really nice to for me to hear you say you're going to make the app even more inclusive, more specific to certain things, tackling issues at this time in America where things are quite volatile. So that's
Yes.
really, really doing
God.
something for the community. That's doing something for the society. So I appreciate you for doing that. And
Yeah.
I'm putting so much love and good vibes into your next plans for the app. And I love that you're
Thank
changing it
you.
to Soar as well, because like you said, you're introducing modalities, but the name itself is uplifting. It's like you can go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm excited about it. I want it to happen now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the end of our conversation, Amy. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to Tap Here to Heal with Amy Vince. If today's conversation sparked something in you, you can explore Amy's work and try tapping for yourself by downloading the Soul with Tapping app or visiting her online at her website. All information will be in the description box. And if you love this episode, share it with someone who needs a little emotional alchemy. You can also follow me on Instagram, Perspective with Viv, and subscribe for more honest, deep dive conversations like this one. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and remember, healing is always within reach. Bye.